Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
Absolute format is the best way to own this store. Time to empty those wallets and fill those shelves. How's it going, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today for my advanced look at the Micronauts, the original Marvel Years Omnibus Volume 2. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, before we go any further, a big thank you to David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us advanced copies of these books. This particular omnibus is due out in the direct market and book market on September 17th or 18th, depending on where you get your books. Now, what we're looking at here are 2 direct market covers and 1 standard edition cover. The standard edition cover, the one I'm keeping, is by Michael Golden. The cover on the left-hand side, the first direct market cover, that one is by Bob Layton. And the one on the right-hand side, that is also the other direct market cover, that one is by Gil Kane. Every one of these covers was awesome. And I was like, oh man, which one do I keep? I don't need all 3 of them, do I? Much like the Micronauts Omnibus Volume 1, I gave 3 copies away. So I am giving 2 copies away here to 1 person. I'm going to leave that contest going for 2 weeks this time around. But I will leave instructions throughout the video. So just make sure you watch. All right. So this is what the covers look like. Let's look at the spines. See, this is what's hard because I'm like, wait, I like Huntar, but I like this cover more. Anyway, here is what the spines look like. You have Devil on one spine. You have the character of Microtron on this spine here. And then Huntar on the other spine by Gil Kane. Now, let's look at the backs. Here are the backs of the books. Each one of these looking identical. So everything in the back is the same. The font here, what's collected, the Marvel logo, the Hasbro logo, the ISBN, and the retail price is $125. Now, let's bring the focus back to this because everything underneath the dust jacket is the same. You have Bill Mantlo, Pat Broderick, Gil Kane, Butch Guys, Marvel logo, the Micronauts, the original Marvel Years with our main characters right there. You have Arcturus Ran, you've got Bug, you've got Acroyear, you've got Devil right there, you've got Nanotron, and you've got Microtron, and you've got Marionette right there. So I was like, oh, and it's also golden, so I have to go with that cover. Now, underneath the dust jacket, that looks familiar. And here is the actual flaps. You have Acroyear right there, and Ron right here, or Ran, and a little bio on the creators. And then just a little bit of what the stories are collected in here. But this right here is Homeworld, which is the molecular center of the Microverse, which is where we're going to see lots of adventures at first. But then eventually Earth and the Microverse, you'll get the idea when we flip through here. So we are going to open this book up and talk about the stories in here, show off this artwork, and look at the extras, and of course, let you know how to enter the contest, and then talk about the build of the book too. Let's go ahead and crack it open. All right, let's go ahead and get this omnibus opened. It's your end sheets, and I love the design of the title page and the credit pages. Like, I think it's just unique that they do this. They take different panels and put just different color tones on it. And here are your credits. You have Bill Mantlo, of course, writing all of this. You have Pat Broderick, Gil Kane, Butch Guys taking the top billing as far as the pencilers and layouts and storytellers. The inkers over here, Danny Bulanati, Gil Kane, Carl Potts, Al Milgram, Jack Abel, just to name a few. But Kelly Jones coming in for the last 2 issues in here, but playing a big part in Volume 3. And then your lettering over here, Shelley Lefferman and Joe Rosen, Gene Simek, colorist, uncredited, unfortunately. This is the first time I've seen letterers getting credit before the colors, but it makes sense if it's uncredited for issue number 30. And then you have Bob Sharon, Don Warfield, and Christy Sheely. Then the editors at the time and your table of contents with the... I love this retro design. It kind of reminds me of like Atari games. So it tells you what issue, when it came out, and the name of that particular issue, and where you're going to find it. And you do have an introduction, this time around by Mark Guggenheim, really reminiscing about that time of being a kid and collecting toys, and then having a friend in school show you that there are comic books based on some of these toys, like the Micronauts, and just making you realize how times were so different back then, that there weren't comic stores everywhere. Like, it's just more accessible these days. But I really like that introduction. And here's your map of Homeworld, the molecular center of the subatomic Microverse. And this is really cool because we are going to start the story off with Oceania and then move on to other parts of the Homeworld, like Tropica right here and Polaria. Because there's going to be a MacGuffin they're looking for. So we do kick it off with issue number 30. So this omnibus collects issues 30 through 54 of the Micronauts. And it has 888 pages. Now, the main characters are back. They just suffered a loss in the last volume. Actually, towards the end of the last volume, we lost a couple of the members. And now they're picking up the pieces. But they were able to get Commander Rand back. And when they did that, they were able to see inside of his mind. And when they opened up what was in his mind, it was... they needed something because, like I said, it's a MacGuffin, but that's okay. I like MacGuffins. Some of my favorite Hitchcock movies, of course, coined the phrase, have MacGuffins. But they end up going to Oceania because they're in search of this key. So there's 3 keys that they need for the Microverse to be saved. Otherwise, the Microverse is going to be destroyed. And that's what they learned in the previous volume when they were inside of Commander Rand's head. And each of these keys, and they're keys of the Enigma Force is what they are, will be scattered around in the Homeworld. So the first place they go is this aquatic-looking place, and that's where the first key is. So this is where Rand and Marionette end up going here. They end up getting swallowed by a Leviathan, and the team starts getting a little bit separated throughout this particular issue. As a matter of fact, throughout this volume, they start getting separated. And over here, we do have the coming of somebody at the very end of this issue that will play a bigger part in here, and that is Doctor Strange, because, hey, if it's got some mystic tones to it, then of course Doctor Strange wants to know exactly what it is. So we do meet Lady Coral here, and eventually Aquan, who is Lord of Oceania, and they are going through some changes because they're being turned into like mer-humans, and it all has to do with Aquan. Now, of course, we don't stay in that world. This is where we end up going to another part of this particular home world. And this is Polaria. And in Polaria, we get to see some newer characters. So we have Prince Peacock. He's trying to defeat the Snow Bear because he ends up looking for Queen Freya. And he's in love with her. So this is where the characters end up because they're looking for the key, and they do end up getting the key eventually. Now, we do have some new players in here that joined in towards the end of the last volume. Like, we have Prince Feroid, who is Prince of Egyptia, which is like this desert place. And we do have Nanotron join the team too. She's the one-eyed female robot, and then... we have, well, Microtron has been there since the beginning, but they're the ones that are joining Bug, they're joining Acroyear, and they're joining Captain or Commander Rand and Marionette. Now, it's interesting because in this particular volume, you're going to see how Commander Rand became a space glider to begin with. Now, this is the first appearance of this character, or 2 characters appear here, and one of them is Devil, that's his name, and he's like, honestly, he kind of reminds me of the Beast, but he's highly intelligent, just like the Beast. And he's not alone. He comes with this character over here. This is Fireflight, who's like a little splite. Both of these species are intertwined with each other, and they both have to do with the life cycle of each other. So one is attached to the other. So both of them end up joining Acroyear to join the Micronauts in this search for these particular keys. Now, eventually they do end up finding these keys. Now, when they're all searching, they're all scattered about Homeworld. We keep going back to some scenes with the king of Homeworld and that is Argon. Now, Argon is, of course, related to one of the other characters, but something's changing in him. He's not the character that he was before. Man, Doctor Strange sticks around for a long time. Now, I'm sure it was due to editorial. They had to come back and go back to Earth, so leave the home world to come back to Earth and have Earth adventures. Because when you're talking about this particular group of characters and they were a toy line, you have to keep coming or making them come back here to Earth. So that's what ends up happening for most of this. Captain Universe ends up joining them for a little while. Letter pages intact, and there's something really cool in one of these letter pages that happens later on. And eventually the book itself, along with Kazar and along with Moon Knight, will become a direct market exclusive. So you can only get it through subscriptions or only be able to get it through going to local comic book stores. This is the appearance of Nightcrawler here, but not just Nightcrawler. Somebody else ends up joining the team, or I'm sorry, appearing here, not joining quite yet. But I do like this character, and that is a character that is changed by the character of Argon, and this is Huntar. And Huntar is a sworn enemy of the Micronauts. He has sworn to kill them, but eventually he'll grow fond of them. As a matter of fact, in this volume, you'll see what ends up making him change his mind. I just remember him fondly because when I was collecting the issues of Micronauts, he was a big part of the team. Now, this is the very first issue that was direct market, and this is the cover that's on the standard size right here. But when it came to the direct market, there were no more ads. Plus, they were able to add 10 pages of stories. So that was a plus. That was a win-win. Of course, the price went up a little bit. I think it went from 50 cents to 75 cents, or was it 60 cents? Maybe it was 60 cents, and then it went up to 75 cents. Yeah, 60 cents, and then direct market was 75 cents. And somebody you saw right there, again, Nightcrawler, but yeah, the rest of the X-Men getting trapped in the danger room. This is a story about how Commander Rand ended up becoming the space glider, and it taking place about 1,000 years in the past. I explained a little bit more about his backstory and how old he is and why he seems so old. This is how both Bug and Acroyear became friends, and it is drawn by the legendary Gil Kane. Here's a little bit of an ad about Moon Knight and Kazar going to direct market only. And then this is a very meta comic book issue right here, because these kids are looking for the issues of Micronauts, and the comic book store owner is holding the issue of Micronauts, which then opens up a portal where the Micronauts and these kids end up meeting each other. And again, there's several changes going on through Homeworld, and letter pages playing an important part through this. More ads. There's some really cool ads through here. Like, you'll see Conan through here. You'll see G.I. Joe through here. It just makes me wish that everything was just collected in omnibus format, because I love this big, beautiful format. So by now, Gil Kane has taken over duties of Micronauts, because before that it was mainly like Pat Broderick and then like Keith Giffen, and then you had a lot of like fill-in artists during this particular era, Val Mayerick, and then we got Gil Kane. So Gil Kane starts drawing these issues, and a lot of it is really tied together because of the inks. Oh, this is the issue which has Franklin Richards of the Fantastic Four team up with them, that leads directly into a big fight between the Micronauts. There's a little bit of bio on the Death Squad, and this guy right here, Dr. Doom. But the inkers who I was going to praise, Danny Bulanandi, that kind of brings the art together no matter who was doing the pencils or the layouts. So there's this big fight here between them and Dr. Doom, and you can find out how that ends. There's the character of Nemesis and Wasp, and of course, with the Wasp is the Avengers. Here's the ad right there for G.I. Joe. This is, what is this guy's name? Professor... No, not Phosphorus. Proteus. No. Professor Proteus. Phenomenon. Prometheus. I just freak. Gosh dang it, I can't remember. I just read this a week ago. Yeah, Prometheus. That's who it is. And I love the letter pages because each one of these letter pages is a time capsule to the way people were feeling about Micronauts, the rumors of Micronauts being canceled, and then the editors were like, no, they're not getting canceled. What are you talking about? It's just going to direct market, meaning you're only going to be able to get these through your comic book store or a subscription order. There is, like I said, a shakeup. Devil ends up changing a little bit. The character of Fireflight ends up leaving the team for a while, but all of it leading into this big issue number 50. And when I say issue number 50, it's not really that big of an issue. It's not like double-sized or anything. I like people complaining about the actual word bubbles. They're too small, and the lettering might be too small. But yeah, the beauty of like going directly to comic book stores, or for that matter, the subscription route, so that you got these big, beautiful, like, wraparound covers. So Arcade is here. Not with the X-Men, but he is here messing around with the Micronauts. And then more letter pages. This is the return of a particular character right here. And in this very volume, you are also going to see some sacrifices and some deaths, particularly in issue number 50. Like, there are ramifications for what happens when you mess with these characters. And that's what I enjoyed about going back and reading these stories, is that there are consequences for every action that is made by the good guys and the villains. And man, there's some horrible things that end up happening to some of these characters. But towards the end of this, they do have a new ship. It is now Bioship, and you can find out exactly what that is, and it leads into the big fight here. And you know who's back. That's right, Carzai's, but you can't keep this guy away. He's on the freaking cover of the Volume 3. But he is coming back, and he is looking more badass than ever, and there's a reason how he was able to come back. You have this amazing fight right here between Acroyear and Cilicia, who, of course, is the mother of his child, and she's his former betrothed, who turned against him when he was... It happened all when he was forced to destroy the Spartak in order to keep it out of the enemy hands. And there's Bioship right there with amazing splash art. Now, towards the end of this particular volume is where we're going to see some early artwork by Butch Guice. I love seeing Conan right here. And I do want to show you this particular letter. I do ask you not to read it because it's a little bit of a spoiler right here. But it's from issue number 52, I think. If I'm not mistaken, is it issue 52? Let's see. Yes, from this beautiful actress right there, Nichelle Nichols. That's right. Uhura from Star Trek, writing about how she disagrees with one of the decisions that was made about the Micronauts, how she feels it was cheapened. And I thought, damn, Uhura, okay, reading Micronauts? There's a letter in here that really spoke to me. This guy, I assume he was a kid at the time, was like, you know, you guys should make Micronauts into a movie. You can get Steven Spielberg to direct it. And he named a few actors. And then I thought, yeah, I could kind of see that. You're casting the characters, okay? This is the gangster story where the Micronauts come back on Earth and are gangsters, or have to fight against gangsters. And then there's issue 54, which is the final issue collected in here. Butch Guice, and now Kelly Jones doing the inks. And Kelly Jones really changing up the art style. It's weird because when I think of Kelly Jones, I think of like heavy shadows. I think of like big, bulky characters. But in here, it kind of looks a little more cartoony compared to the artwork that preceded it back here. Especially when you got the Gil Kane stuff compared to this. And it's not him drawing it. Of course, he's doing the inks and the finishes. And then letter pages. This is really interesting. I didn't finish reading this because I had to go on and start reading Excalibur Volume 3. But this is the Sword in the Star. So what this is a article and a comic book that preceded the Micronauts. And it's all about the legend of Prince Wayfinder. And I think he's from the Ithacon, I think. I didn't get to finish reading it. And the loss of his father and how he has to become the next king in the lineage. But there's a lot of elements that were borrowed from for the Micronauts in that particular story by not just Bill Mantlo, but doing the art is Ed Hannigan and a young P. Craig Russell doing the inks there. So That I don't think has ever been collected. Keith Giffen doing the art for the second part of that storyline. Or at least I've never read it. This is what I have not read. And then let's look at the extras here. So I guess I consider that extras after issue number 54. But this is the true extras where you have house ads, you've got the covers to the Marvel Age, you've got the interview with Butch Guys, and then the actual art here, some original art, and the color guide right there by Christy Sheely. Yeah, Huntar just becomes an awesome character later on. Before that, I think Acroyear was my favorite character out of the bunch, but who doesn't love Bug? It's hard to decide. What is this? This looks like the layouts or the cover sketch. This cover sketch here by Ed Hannigan. And then the final cover. And Danny Bulanadi doing the inks there. And Butch Guys and Mike Mignola piece right there. Unused pinup. And this is the Marvel preview, The Sword in the Stars, original art by Ed Hannigan and P. Craig Russell and Rick Bryant. And your end sheet. So let's take a look at the binding here. 888 pages. It is sewn binding. This one is printed at the iMac printer. And there are some spread pages, but first I wanted to talk about the actual paper stock, which is the same as Volume 1 with minimal bleed through happening. And now let's look, especially over here, because there's a lot of covers that were double page wraparound covers. There we go. So you can see how it lays over. So that lack of a big eye really affects the gutter loss right there. So you do get some gutter loss. So it is there. But luckily, there is more splash pages than actual spread pages through here. Not that there isn't that many spread pages, but there's more of the splash pages. And pausing for 1 second, for the people that have been paying attention, thank you all so much, to explain the rules of how you can win one of these books. So 2 different winners. You just got to be a subscriber, and all you have to do is, in the comment section, let me know what your first Micronauts comic was. And if you don't have a Micronauts comic that you haven't read, or if you have the first omnibus and you're like, oh, you can write that down. And if you don't have it, back to what I was saying is you can write your first Marvel comic you read, or your first comic book. It doesn't matter. I love giving things away. Obviously, I had to distance a little bit from the last giveaway we did because, oh my gosh, that was a lot. So yes, open to anybody as long as you're subscribed. All you got to do is comment in the video just with your first comic or your first Micronaut comic. And also hit that like button. Goes a long way for us here. All right, and the contest will be opened until Friday, September 20th. I will close it at midnight and announce the 2 winners on Saturday the 21st on our Saturday morning show at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, sometime during that show. So that's my way of paying it forward. See, give away things all the time. They don't have to just be big 100K celebrations. Thank you all so much. So this was another fun volume. I haven't, oh my gosh, it's been a long time since I've read some of these adventures. I love the world building that Bill Mantlo was taking us on at the very, especially like towards this big chunk of the book. And I'm sure, you know, editors were like, well, look, you got to use a character from Marvel Comics, you know, not everybody knows who these toys are. So Doctor Strange was kind of thrown into this story where they go and search for these Enigma keys. And I thought, okay, well, that's a random character, even though they're sort of mystical. Sure, the Enigma Force could be yeah, all right, whatever. But then Nightcrawler appearing through here and then flying back to Earth, and that's where they have to fight the Death Squad. I feel like a lot of that stuff probably belonged in one of the little areas of Homeworld. But, you know, you gotta abide by editors, so it makes sense. I mean, he wouldn't have ran into, or they wouldn't have ran into Nightcrawler if it wasn't for editors or the Fantastic Four team up, which makes for a really cool story. The Doctor Doom story has a really cool twist to it. So you wouldn't have gotten tells like that. But don't worry, if they do take you back to the Microverse, they go back and, you know, check on everybody that they hadn't seen for a while. They go back and fight off those dangling plot threads that happen in volume 1. So a lot of that does get wrapped up in this volume, but also begins a new set of adventures with some newer characters that end up joining the Micronauts, but not without losses though. There are some characters that unfortunately did not make it out of this book, but I do welcome Huntar. He was awesome in the stories that I remember reading about him. Again, the covers have a frame around them, like this, what I like to call this retro Atari frame. But I dig that, man. It's a cool frame. Letter pages, as I showed, and even the letter pages, they collect every letter page. So at times, the letter pages were not only at the end of the comic, right before the ad, but sometimes they would place them at the beginning of the comic too. That's how big and popular these stories were. So not only did you have letter pages like you normally, here is, let's use this as an example of just the kind of gutter loss you have here. I mean, you can hold it down and see the glasses there and the shoulder more, but that's just what you're going to be seeing through here. What the heck was I saying? Oh yeah, not only do you have the letter pages where you typically do at the end with the other ads, but you have the letter pages also at the beginning too. So more letter pages, and if you enjoy reading those like I do, well, you're in for a treat. But that is the Micronauts, the original Marvel Years Omnibus Volume 2. We got one more to go. And that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing any of these covers, don't forget to check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code nearmintcondition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of these Omnis. Let me know in the comments down below which cover you're going to get, if you've been enjoying these reprints and omnibus editions, and I want to know what other classic era Marvel comics you'd love to see collected in omnibus format. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Don't forget that the contest is open for 2 weeks. That's right, I'm keeping this particular one open for 2 weeks. Figured people need enough chance to go ahead and write it in. Besides, it saves me a little bit of time on shipping too, mainly because of all of the shipping I've done for the last giveaway. But this particular contest will end on Friday, September 20th, and I will announce the winners on Saturday, September 21st of the 2 books. So, again, in the comment section, just leave me what your first Micronauts comics was, or your first Marvel comic. That's it. That's how you can enter. Be a subscriber, hit that like button, everyone. I'm out of here. Stay healthy and safe. Much love.